Congressman, thanks for joining us. I know it's a busy time on Capitol Hill. Let me start with this. There's so much talk about, or speculation, innuendo, etc., about the possible connection between the Trump administration and high levels of the Russian government. Do you support a full investigation of this connection or perceived connection?
Well, serving on the Intelligence Committee, it's a matter of concern for anybody, regardless of the situation. We want to know what type of things took place. I don't think it's inappropriate for there to be an incoming administration having some conversations with another government about what may be coming up, but it depends on what was actually discussed. And that remains to be seen, and I haven't seen anything on that at this point.
Okay, so we had an editorial from a Hamilton County judge, Judge Painter, who is specifically calling on an impeachment of the president. What's your reaction to the fact that someone is even uttering that word right now, impeachment?
Well, I think in my lifetime, we have heard that with every president that I can think of since the time I was a young man, that people are always calling for impeachment for one reason or another. Let's take a look and see what facts are out there. I don't think that's an appropriate conversation at this time, but we'll wait and see what comes forward, and he'd have to make his case, and he'd make his case to a lot of people.
Just a follow-up, you're not specifically ruling that out. I know you're trying to adjust to a call by a judge who has nothing to do with that process, but I want to make sure I understand you. You're saying It's premature, but that's always a possibility. It's just you're talking about in general here.
Yeah, in general, but I have not heard that discussed here on the Hill by either party at this time, as a matter of fact. So I think we need to drive on. We need to investigate what needs to be investigated in all areas, always, and let's move the country forward. We have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, let's talk about, you have a key role in looking at veterans issues here. And Mr. Trump had talked repeatedly about taking care of the veterans. Are you focused on, I mean, we have so many issues with the VA still lingering. Are you worried that things like that could get held up?
No, I don't think so. We're ready to move forward, and I think in a bipartisan fashion, especially on the VA committee. We have good relationships on both sides of the aisle, the things we want to do to make sure that veterans get the care that they deserve, and on the issues that they're addressing each and every day. It's of vital importance that we take care of our veterans. I'm a veteran myself and still serving in the reserve. And I am now the subcommittee chair on health care. So as a doctor, I think that there's a lot we can bring to the table. The new chairman of the House is a physician and a veteran himself, and the new secretary is a physician also. So I think there's great opportunity to do things in a positive way to make sure that veterans are getting care that they need and deserve, as well as what they are able to do with their GI Bill and educational and work opportunities.
Let's move to the Obamacare issue. Obviously, that's been taking a backseat as well, but let's take it front and center with you. As a physician, and by the way, thank you for your service, sir. The fact is that Obamacare and the repeal and replacement seems to be kind of misunderstood of how this is going to go. Do you have a clear vision, and are you putting forward a recommendation to the administration how this should go? Are you replacing Obamacare? Are you going to do this piecemeal? How is this going to go?
Yeah, well, as a doctor's caucus, we have here many doctors that have left their practices to serve here in Congress. We have a voice in the matter, and we have a lot to say, and our main concern is about patients getting access to care. And so, as we know, the Affordable Care Act is falling on its own face. Humana just dropped out. There will be several places throughout America where next year, right now, they'll have no choice left. There will be nothing there. So to me, it would be abandonment of patients if we don't do something. We have to act. I think politically, if we did nothing, maybe that would make a point, but I don't think that's what we're about. We're here to try and fix problems. So the bill itself is very complicated, as Americans have found out and have weighed in with us over the last several years about how complicated it is for them. But we have to unwind it, and we have to do it carefully, because we don't want to pull the rug out from anyone, and at the same time, we have to really look at what's taking place today in America. There's still 20 million people without insurance, and there's many people with insurance that don't have access to care or can't afford the access that they may have. We hear from more and more doctors and hospitals who say that their biggest accounts receivable are from people that actually have insurance, and they're having difficulty paying it because their premiums are so high and their deductibles are so high. So we really have to look and think about the patient when we look at this, and patients across America. And our goal is to get Americans with a plan that gives them access to quality care and actually gets taken care of. It's very important that we do it carefully.
Are you going to be one of the leads in trying to adjust this? And as a follow-up to that, just if I may, what parts of Obamacare need to stay in place?
Well, there are certain provisions that are in there, for example, that are working for people that we want to include in any new plan going forward. For example, allowing 26-year-olds and younger to stay on their parents' plans. That's been very helpful. And we also want to make sure that we have provisions to allow people with pre-existing conditions to be able to get a plan and to have access to care. There's many things that are involved. I'm not on the Committee of Jurisdiction per se, which is healthcare part under Ways and Means, and so there is many other components, and I'm not on those committees, but certainly we have put together task forces last year on how we want to address healthcare, and all members were able to weigh in on that.
And last question, with us watching all of this in Cincinnati and across the country, it's a very unsettling time. How is it there in Washington for an elected leader to handle these kinds of shifts? And I mean, we haven't seen anything like this in a very long time. Is it difficult to maneuver right now?
That's right. You know, I can't say that it's not without stress some days, for sure it is. But it's also, you can look at it as an opportunity to do good things. And really, that's why I wanted to serve. You know, I was comfortable in my practice, things are going well, I'm still in the Army Reserve, but I thought there was an opportunity to bring my experiences in military and healthcare to Washington, D.C., and as a small business owner, to weigh in on so many of these issues. I would hope that at the end of the day, our country pulls together more than it has been of late. It's obviously very divisive in many ways. But I will tell you one thing that's been overwhelming. Although we're hearing people that want to keep the Affordable Care Act in place, we are getting overwhelming responses from people that know it needs to change. And so that's the effort we have to put forward on behalf of the American people. And I'm eager to jump in and do as much as I can to try and leave something better than we found it.
We appreciate your leadership. We appreciate your time today. And we wish you well as you go forward in these trying times, sir.
Thank you. Say a prayer for us.
We will.